Oh, I like blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't like blah, blah, blah?
Wait a minute. You can't fill the page with blah blah blah.
You can't yada 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 podcast.
I've yada yada a podcast.
We are about to yada yada a podcast. But don't tell anyone.
Okay.
It'll be our little monkey secret.
I don't know where that came from.
The monkey sound. Sound.
There.
Whoa.
The monkeys, of course.
And now we have just been blocked by YouTube. Okay.
Too much copyright infringement? Or
Apparently
too
so,
much
right there. No.
silliness?
Well, a little of both.
It's
Silly
the wrong
copyright.
trousers, Gromit, and they've gone wrong. That's right. Any
All right.
post was that, perchance?
Has
Here,
the bounce gone out of your bungee?
Yes.
Hey,
I am
ow!
Oh, sorry.
You're not supposed to do that.
I am Locutus of geocaching.
Oh, dear.
Resistance can be upwards of infinite.
That's right.
Resistance depends on the sequence of little colors.
Yes. Okay.
Yes?
Resistance equals what? E over I, isn't it?
Yeah. Sounds right. I don't know. It's a long time since I've looked at that formula.
Voltage over amperage determines resistance, does it not? What is Ohm's
E
law?
equals IR? E equals IR is what I always
Yes.
start with. So if we divide both sides by I, we get E over I, which equals R.
Wow.
E-I-E-I-O.
Okay. Let's fill up on liquids. I need to, because, my voice sounds like Jeremy Clarkson.
Well, and I'm
Cheers.
guzzling water because I just consumed 3 pounds of sunflower seeds at a baseball game, so my mouth has been pickled.
Highly
I'm looking
salted?
for a
Highly
Dr.
salted,
Pepper
yeah.
sponsorship.
Please do.
There you go.
We'll even accept Canadian Dr. Pepper. Apparently it's better.
It is.
It's like Mexican Coke.
Hmm.
And I'm talking about Coca-Cola.
Just gonna say,
Wow.
hey, different podcast.
Let's
show,
start a
family show.
podcast, people. I'll start the music, and I'm starting
Yeah.
it off. So it's all
Back
about
up
me.
along and play the music.
Okay, here I go, funky white boy. Here we are. It's Thursday night. That means it's time for Caching in the Northwest. It's the only podcast dedicated to geocaching in the Great Pacific Northwest. We're going to talk about caches and cachers unique to this little corner of the country. So slather on SPF 300. It's time to go caching in the Northwest.
Oh, it is. It always is time to go caching in the Northwest. But, we can't do it alone. We can't even do it with the twos of us. We need to bring in our third. Some say he was the reason we have government-run healthcare, and he's flummoxed by windmills. All we know is he's called the land monkey.
He is called the land monkey, and the twirly business really throws me off.
Yeah.
I don't like the twirly business. Anyways,
Twirling business.
Speaking of things I don't like not having a guest, but we're going to have to deal with it. Tonight we did have a special guest scheduled, and unfortunately at the last minute wasn't able to make it. So
Mere moments ago it fell through.
moments ago. But on the plus side, we weren't sure if we were going to have our co-host Wits End in, and he made it safe and sound into his studio on time for the show. So there you go. Happy to have you here, buddy.
Thankful for no traffic on the freeways. Didn't have to
Awesome.
break any traffic laws to get here.
Even
Well,
better.
Not many traffic laws.
No, I didn't break any this time.
So you
can't
were
say I
able
never
to
have.
move around the Puget Sound area without breaking any traffic laws.
Correct.
Wow. I don't know if I've ever done that.
It's pretty impressive.
You have bad in your name, so.
It's true.
And speaking of bad, tonight we're going to talk about solar flares and hopefully not bad changes at geocaching.com.
Oh, they're changing things again, are they?
Always.
You know, they change it to make things better and improve them for the geocaching community.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So I don't know if you've looked, but just today, they've changed the look of their website.
I have not looked.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, it was funny.
I would
I
go
have
look right now, but I'm in a podcast.
multiple geocaching pages up at any time, upcoming events, different things. And I looked at them. I didn't notice the redesign, and it was pointed out. Well, somebody posted it on Facebook. That site that I use to stalk families or my family, I should say. That's going to sound a lot better. I looked at it and go, well, sure enough, they did do a redesign. Look at that. I was looking at the content of the page and not the design of the page.
Okay.
So is it like structural or?
Menu changes, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
And,
We'll have to take a look at
Yeah,
that.
you'll have to go take a look. They've cleaned up the menu structure at the top of the page with drop-down menus that are a bit more persistent than they were before. Should I
I
say
wonder
that?
if this is in part why our guest wasn't able to make it tonight, if they had some significant changes going on.
Could be. They just launched today. So.
Yeah, it's always a possibility. Well, we'll tell everybody to go over there and check that out after the podcast is over. But right
Yes,
now,
please
it's
do.
podcasting time, and let's get into the news. We have some good caching news tonight for the listeners. Geocaching.com, apparently in addition to making some sweeping menu changes on their website, has also announced a new Trackables photo contest. You can find details at geocaching.com/NCEES. Now, NCEES stands for the National Council of Examiners for Engineering and Surveying. That's a mouthful. And as they like to say, it's a career as a professional surveyor is a career without boundaries. So
Unless
take note
you're
of the hashtag.
creating those boundaries.
Well, that's kind of their job. But so take note of the hashtag PS no boundaries. PS is for professional surveyors.
Not Puget Sound.
Yeah, and not something that you forgot at the end of a letter.
Oh, yeah.
Postscript. Yeah. Geocachers and professional surveyors share a passion for technology and the outdoors. They both use GPS and surrounding clues to locate hidden marks or objects, but there is a difference. Professional surveyors take that passion for technology and outdoors to a higher level and turn it into a career. Now, I think I have made a short career out of looking for certain geocaches, but that's not what we're talking about here. They're talking about actual legitimate careers with paychecks.
That's a difference.
Yeah. So on March 17th, 2015, not all that long ago, that was St. Pat,
Mere days.
NCEES released 2,500 NCEES Surveyor Trackables to celebrate National Surveyors Week. If you find one before June 1st, 2015, you'll be eligible to participate in the hashtag PSNoBoundaries photo contest. NCEES will select one lucky geocacher to win a trip for two to the 2015 Geocaching Block Party in Seattle.
How cool. I want to sign up for that.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Can I point out something here at this point?
Please do.
With respect to this contest, just like the Michelin contest, this contest is only open to legal citizens of the United States.
Ah.
Do I hear a
about it at
little?
all.
Anyway, okay. Never mind. I didn't hear anything in your voice.
No. Well, let me
Wow.
tell you some more details about the...
Please, especially tell him to Mr. Land Monkey. He's looking to. He's
I
really.
really
about
care
the
now.
Photo contest. And since virtually all of our listeners are north of the border.
Yeah.
We'll just throw this whole story out. No, we won't. As we mentioned, professional surveyors use GPS to establish and locate survey markers to map the world. Once you find an NCEES surveyor trackable, share a photo of yourself and the trackable at a National Geodetic Survey marker, an NGS survey marker, using the hashtag PS No Boundaries on Facebook or Twitter before June 1st, 2015. Now, if you need help finding the National Geodetic Survey NGS survey markers, visit geocaching.com/mark, and you'll learn all about locating NGS survey markers. That's
Who's
kind of
Mark?
redundant. NGS. If the S in NGS is survey, then it's then it's a National Geodetic survey marker.
Huh. I didn't know the G in NGS was geodetic.
Geodetic.
I thought it was something geo, but not. Okay. Anyway.
Land Monkey still doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't really care over there.
Sorry. Were we still talking?
Yeah.
About a contest?
Yes, about a contest. Hey.
That I can't be in?
Okay, how about some other things? Again, we're going to talk about something that's a little more U.S.-centric. However, this affects you as well. May 2nd and 3rd, celebrate the history of geocaching by unlocking your mission for 2015. May 2nd and 3rd, the beginning of geocaching some 15 years ago on May 2nd, May 2nd, 2000, GPS signals were descrambled.
2000.
Yes, 19100.
Okay. On May 2nd, 2000, GPS signals were descrambled, and the accuracy of GPS devices went up by 10 times. The following day, what would become known as the first geocache was hidden. And why I say it was U.S.-centric, it was U.S. President Bill Clinton that signed that order. So,
it was.
Something good came out of that.
That first geocache was placed in Oregon.
Yes.
The original stash.
Which is, again, U.S.-centric. However, I know a notable Canadian came down and found that geocache.
Yes, with his good American friends whom he loves.
We are so international on this podcast. So, celebrate 15 years of geocaching. Isn't that amazing? 15 years. On May 2nd and May 3rd, by finding any geocache, that'll be easy, attending any geocaching event, that's pretty easy, you'll earn a new digital souvenir for your geocaching profile.
All right.
Cool. Unlock the details of your 2015 geocaching mission by reading the souvenir's description. This is important.
That sounds cool.
Join the conversation with your fellow geocachers and on social media by tagging hashtag geocaching15 in your posts.
Cool deal. Oh, it's time to roll over and let us know if you solved the mystery of the Pi Day souvenirs. Did you?
No.
Take a look at those 2 Pi Day souvenirs, because you all went and got them, right?
Yes.
Did you notice the numbers and letters around the rim?
You know what's funny is I noticed the numbers and letters and I didn't do anything with them. And then I heard about this.
Yeah. You combine those to find the page for GC31415. What an interesting combination of numbers. And that contains a very special message from one of the co-founders of Geocaching.com and a few delicious pie recipes.
Yeah, I completely missed that. Now, I have to blame it on the small smartphone screen and the fact that I didn't look very closely at the souvenirs. But that's going to change. I'm going to look closely at every souvenir I get now. Like just the little hint we got about the 15-year mission. Did you catch that? Unlock the details of your 2015 geocaching mission by reading the souvenir's description. I'm just saying, souvenirs are starting to become an important part of this game.
I guess, yeah.
Well, at least they're adding a little more to them, so it's not just a little digital trophy that you put in your digital trophy box and forget about, but actually you can do something more with them, which is great. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I went back and looked at those souvenirs today. After reading the show notes and looking at this, I was like, oh man, That's so obvious. How did I miss that? How did I not even see it? And then went to the page, and yeah, that's kind of fun.
It's very cool.
What I
well,
found really interesting about souvenirs, while we're talking about souvenirs,
yes.
I pulled up my Android geocaching app for Android the other day. Actually, the bad cop and I were riding together somewhere. And if you pull up the app and you look at, there's a souvenirs list, and there's a list of my souvenirs there in the app, which I don't know if you can see.
It's
or
really
not.
good for the audio people listening later.
I know. But what's interesting to me is when I tap on one of them to view it, and it says display souvenir, it displays it in a fourth of my screen. I don't know if that's just a bug of my phone or if it's the way it's designed, but you would think it would fill the screen.
Here on the iPhone, it's a full screen.
Yeah.
In fact, it works really well as wallpaper. If you're, if you're curious, you can set it. You can take a screenshot of it, save it as wallpaper. But
so if people over there at groundspeakgeocaching.com are watching, it's kind of strange that it would be that way. And Android I can't seem to pinch and zoom it either. Yeah, I think
it's really small. And I tried to pinch and zoom. I'm like, what'd you do to your phone?
It is entirely possible that it's an incompatibility between the phone and Wits End, because that's been known to happen.
Kind of a pedal.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of pinching and zooming, bad cop, if you're having challenges and difficulties knowing what to do with geocaching in the last few days or the last couple of weeks, really.
You know me well.
You could, A, I know you well, and B, you could actually blame it on the solar flares. We picked up the following story from Field Guide, and this story, it's important because there's a few time references in the story. The story was written and published on March 17th. We'll include the link in the show notes, but the story goes, last Wednesday, so the Wednesday preceding March 17th, the sun blasted us with a direct hit from a powerful solar flare that wiped out a huge amount of radio communication. According to NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center, National Oceanic
and Atmospheric Administration, I believe.
Thank you.
We say
NOAA.
NOAA.
Yeah, we say NOAA.
All right. So Mike Wall of space.com writes, the Wednesday flare registered as an X2.2 sunstorm on the scale used to measure solar tempests. Scientists classify strong solar flares into three categories. Categories C, M, and X, with C being the weakest, M being mid-level, and X the strongest. X flares are 10 times more powerful than M flares. X2 and X3 flares are twice and 3 times as potent, respectively, as X1 flares. So at that point, when we're talking about an X2.2, that's a pretty strong flare. And just a few hours ago, and again, remember this is written on March 17th, so on March 17th, NOAA reported that the Earth is currently being slammed by the granddaddy of all solar storms, a monster X4 class storm, the biggest of all. An X4, or severe geomagnetic storm, was observed today at 9:58 Eastern Time. This is the response to a pair of CMEs, or coronal mass ejection, that, boy, you got to be careful you say that, observed leaving the sun 2 days prior on March 15th. Now, that story goes on to explain the impacts on human circadian rhythms, sleep, mood, etc. of these solar storms. And frankly, I find this quite fascinating. And I'll just say, if any of you listeners experienced a particularly high amount of DNFs last week, or just dang well didn't feel like logging a DNF, you now have a valid excuse to go and edit your cache logs with.
I find all this interesting. I don't know how much you guys know about how the sun affects the atmosphere. It was very interesting that Wits End and I just last night went to a local radio club meeting, and they were talking about refraction off of the ionosphere, yada yada. But the sun has a huge effect on ionizing gases within the upper atmosphere. So the more energy that comes from the sun, the more ionization we get in the upper atmosphere, and that cuts radio communication. So
yeah, radio communication already has a huge difference between daytime and nighttime propagation because of solar activity. Oddly enough, there's not as much solar activity at night. Figured that one out all by myself.
At least
but
not here.
it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay,
yeah, it's fascinating.
It is interesting.
So
And,
on top of that, on
Yes.
top of the normal solar activity, it tends to be daytime. Then you get these CMEs, or coronal mass ejections, that just flood the atmosphere with extra, it's technically radiation, charged particles, and that's one of the reasons why, as far down as Oregon and Northern California, they're seeing northern lights.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be up in Alaska or I want to say the Badlands. What's way up north in Canada? And I'm really sorry I had to say that.
Yukon, Northwest Territories.
Yeah. To see the Aurora Borealis.
There you go, Aurora Borealis. I was confirming. Go ahead.
Okay. I would say the huge amount of charged particles that are coming down or coming in from the sun is making that visible for a huge range of people right now.
It's interesting you share that because, again, not knowing about this particular story, about 2 weeks ago, so when we had the X2.2, I actually retweeted a photo that had been taken at night in Saskatchewan, not too far north in Saskatchewan, in southern Saskatchewan, of an amazing photo of the Northern Lights behind a grain elevator. It was a beautiful photo. And I thought, wow, how unusual. And I guess that explains why they were able to have such a great photo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that explains why I think night caching is so much more fun. Because we're actually getting better signals at night than we are during the day. I think the GPSs are more accurate at night.
That makes a lot of sense. I noticed we have a little bit of feedback in the Q&A from listener Wet Coaster, who made a comment earlier in the show, geocaching, the hobby for everybody, with a question mark, and I think that's in response to Land Monkey's defiant stance against continued trackable contests that exclude Canadians and everybody else who isn't American.
Wait, there are other people?
Yeah, at least a few.
Guys, I'm only joking. Yes, I'm an American, and I tend to be ethnocentric, but I try to be sensitive. No, I mean, I understand the legal ramifications for that. I mean, flying somebody in from another country. What if they win it and they don't have a passport? Then, oh, sorry, we gave the prize away, but it couldn't be used. Anyway, I'm not standing up for any country that doesn't support international contests. But what I'm saying is...
What are you saying?
There. No, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let somebody put it in my mouth. No. Have contests available to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, because not every contest requires travel or whatever.
I'm sure there's some Timmy Host contests that we're not qualified for.
There you go. There probably are. The thing is, if you go to a Tim Hortons in the U.S. and you're a customer there, you will be eligible for whatever contest they're running. If you come to Canada and go to Tim Hortons, you probably won't be eligible because you're not a Canadian. However, to Wet Coaster's comment and my feedback, the majority of geocachers are probably not Americans. I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats, but there's an awful lot of Germans, an awful lot of Czechs.
The Germans are probably the majority.
There's an awful lot of Canadians.
Yeah.
At best, it's probably about 50-50. So to keep running, because there's the Michelin contest, only the U.S. There's now this trackable photo contest, only U.S. I think if you just keep running contests that are only U.S., you're kind of alienating probably about 50% of your paying customers for your service. So at some point, someone's going to get annoyed and say something, and I'm doing it.
Well, are we just not
No.
hearing about the geocaching dot?
Could be.
Is it DE? Or the German geocaching site and the contest they're running? Did you go look?
I didn't go look, so it's entirely possible they are running contests for the Germans in the geocaching DE. That's great. That still doesn't help the Canadian people who are paying for geocaching memberships and supporting the company.
Right.
Now, let's look at it from another perspective. Let's just, maybe there's another way to look at this. What if geocaching.com realizes that the majority of the geocaches are outside the U.S., so they create these contests to motivate and incentivize the lame U.S. population to get out and geocache more?
Because American geocachers are inherently lazy, and they need a contest
Exactly.
to get them out.
I'm so glad you guys said that.
That's what you were waiting for, wasn't it?
Nope.
No,
That's the whole reason.
That just came out
voice the
organically
complaint in
for
the
some
first
reason.
place.
I don't know.
that's not what it says in the show notes that I just read there. Oh, wait.
No, the show notes I'm reading say blah, 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 blah.
Literally.
I don't know what you mean. So. Anyway, that's just my little input on that.
I think that's a very valid point.
No, I think you gentlemen are correct in the fact that I would say 50% or more of geocachers are German and Czech, in just
That
those
wouldn't
two
surprise me.
countries. I would be willing to say we're probably 50%.
That wouldn't surprise me in the least bit.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I would have absolutely no argument to say that there are far more U.S. geocachers than there are Canadian geocachers.
as a percentage of the population, it's probably easy to say yes.
Well, actually, if you go percentage of the population, it might not be. There actually might be a higher percentage of Canadians who are geocachers than Americans. There's just a higher percentage of the geocachers, subscribers to geocaching.com, who are American than are Canadian. But all that to say, it would be really, really nice if there was a contest that was open to Canadians sometime in the future.
Yes, wouldn't
Maybe
it
we
be
should
nice?
create a Caching the Northwest contest. Open to Canadians. How about that?
There you go. How
Wet
about-
Coaster says a prize to be a trip or cash equivalent, or maybe a cash CACHE equivalent.
Very good. Very good.
But nice one, White Coaster.
That's true. A cash equivalent would be would be the same. And then you realize, they're buying you cheap airfare, so it's only $200. Did I say that out loud? So,
Well, see,
you
they
know
would-
what I find ironic? What if I won that? What if I won that contest? I would
Exactly.
be given
I had
a
that same
trip to
thought.
the block party.
That's a long flight.
I would expect a limo to take me, the 15 miles to.
Don't you get a limo anyways to the block party? I thought that was all prearranged.
Well, I'd expect a nicer limo.
Ah,
Can you get a convertible limo? Or does that kind of defeat the purpose?
I'm sure you could.
I
Are
want
those-
the one with the hot tub in the back.
I was going to say, are those the ones with the hot tub in the back? There you go.
You're very kind to call my 15-year-old Hyundai a limo, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I ride in the back and say, "Home, James."
Yeah. that's right.
But you never take me where I want to go.
It's funny because people are always telling me where to go.
And do
And
they
you know
end
where
up
we want
getting
our
there?
listeners to go?
No, tell us.
We want our listeners to go to the show website at cachingnw.com because there's all kinds of news and tidbits and stuff there, including information about what may or may not be happening next week. We're going to hopefully have a great guest next week because we're supposed to hopefully have a great guest this week. But next week, we're going to have an interview with Hide and Seek on planning the Going Ape Mega event. That will be an awesome show. Not that this wasn't hanging out with you guys. And for the April 2nd show, be sure to share any of your geocaching foolery from April 1st with us by giving us a call, email, or social media, contacting us, any of those methods. April 9th, we're going to have a Northwest cacher and Munzer Breiling, frequent listener to the podcast. He's going to be with the show live with us to discuss Munzie urban camo techniques, and we're going to unbox the Bad Cops Cache Crate just for you listeners. So to keep you all posted of what episode is coming up next, check that show website at cachingNW.com, won't you please?
Please do, because things change.
Yeah.
And we're going to unbox that cache crate completely silently. So if you're not watching, you don't get to find out what's going on. No.
Oh,
We'll amply describe everything that's going on. But
we'll put
yeah,
subtitles up.
please be sure to share. That's a tough one for me to get out.
Wow.
Any of your foolery, Tom or otherwise, for next week.
Yeah, we know you guys are going to get up to some hijinks. We want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Or you've already been in hijinks.
Or you have. And just before we wrap up the show, I do also want to shout out to geocachers and world travelers, Peanuts or Pretzels, who did give us some great feedback for our guest who didn't make it, so we weren't able to share that, but we just wanted to share that they did have a shout out to all of you listeners. And if you haven't checked out their blog before, you really should. Those guys are awesome. So Peanuts or Pretzels, Google them. They're cool.
We shared a table with them at last block party, just before they left for their major adventure.
Yeah.
We did. And to wrap things up, what we want to do is thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. You can be a part of the show. Call 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, correction, or question any time of the day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Remember that this podcast is brought to you by, well, you. So if you like what you hear, consider contributing to the show by providing that feedback, content, or even a financial contribution through the CNW website at cachingnw.com. This show is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2015 by Chris Umfenauer.
Good night, folks.
Night all. Thanks for joining us.
Cache safely.
And cache often.
Had to wait for that last little bit before I cut the recording. You left me hanging there. Land Monkey, I almost said something about your opposable thumbs when you with your intro dance this evening.
Did you like that? I was showing them off.
I did.
It was very monkey-esque.
Yeah.
I like that Wet Coaster says you only get to see the unboxing of the cache crate if you live in the U.S.
Ouch. Apparently right now you can only get the cache crate if you're in the U.S. Wow. I really feel guilty about that. You can.
You ship some to Canada.
You have to pay for the extra postage.
But you pay, yeah. It's honestly, I looked at it and I was going to, and to be frank, I didn't subscribe just because it was a little cost prohibitive to get them to Canada. Once I started looking at the cost, I thought, So sorry, Lisa. But if you're an American, I would definitely encourage you to support that. I think it's a great idea. It's just unfortunate that the costs for Lisa are so high for her to get them to Canada.
Exactly. That is unfortunate. But I've got mine, and I'm waiting to open it. It's killing me.
Well, we unboxed our inflatable kayak last week.
Ooh, fun.
We're very excited to get that into the water very soon. And Mrs. Land Monkey and I will be joining Daryl and Chris on their podcast to talk all about our kayaking experiences.
You're the kayaking guest?
That's us.
Oh, nice.
We even got
Very
Mrs.
cool.
Land Monkey coming on.
Nice.
Dora Moore says we're not bitter, really.
No, we're Canadians. We're polite until you
I'm
push
gonna
us
have
too far.
to. That's right. I'm gonna have to check out that inflatable kayak. I've looked at Portaboat and several different collapsible, storable, portable boating kayak canoe things over the years. They all intrigue me. I've never pulled the trigger and actually purchased one, but
The one we got is the Sea Eagle. So if you look up Sea Eagle,
okay.
We bought it through Amazon, and they had a really good sale on them at Christmas time, so that's when we bought it.
And Amazon was willing to ship it to Canada, huh?
He went through Camazon.
Didn't even have to pay extra because there's Canadian Amazon, even though it is a U.S. product.
Wet Coaster adds, so much for free trade.
Well, wasn't really a trade; it was a contest. So I don't know.
So several years ago,
Yes.
there was a store opening. Maybe it was a grand opening. It might have been a reopening. I can't recall. We just happened to go in there during this party, and they were holding a contest. It was only in America, only at this one store. Okay, now, and it was a hula hooping contest.
Okay.
And so both of my children entered, and my daughter won. I'm like, wow, I didn't know she could hula hoop that well.
Cool.
And she was 10 or 11 years old. She won an inflatable kayak.
Really?
Yeah. Now, it's festooned with Campbell's soup and Cheez-It logos and, different food products. But, yeah, we have an inflatable kayak.
That's very cool.
So, Doramore adds, I have an inflatable kayak. I love it. And that's love with all capital letters. So she was screaming, I love it!
Oh, yeah.
Because it lives in a closet, and I can take it to anyone else's car. Easily stored, easily transported.
There you go.
Easily deflated.
Yes. Yeah. No, they
No.
pack up
They're not really
surprisingly
deflated.
small considering the size of the unit.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to take too much wind out of your sails, out of your kayak. Do you inflate it before you go out, or do you inflate it when you're out?
Usually before you put it in the water, yeah.
Well, I
If
mean,
you go out on the water with it deflated, it's not going to do much good.
Oh, I've been filling mine with seawater. Is there something wrong with that? The submarine captain over there told me to do that.
That's called ballast.
Oh.
That's what they
I
call
inflate
me.
mine here at the house and then put it on top of the car and take it out. But, I'm just, a couple miles from the water. So
I think it really depends how far you're going to go. Now, we haven't gotten ours in the water yet. That's coming up imminently. But definitely, Dora Moore, who's listening, I would ask her because she's definitely been out in hers a lot last summer. But I would say probably, as you're saying there, Bad Cop, that if it's just a really short jaunt to the water from where you are, you may as well just have the convenience of inflating it at home and tying it to the roof. But if you've got to make a bit of a run, like if you're
a highway
going,
excursion?
yeah, then I would probably say inflate it there because, yeah, as Dora Moore says, hers sets up in 10 minutes or less, which ours does as well.
Nice.
White Coaster says you can inflate it in the water. You just have to be fast.
Yes.
Don't we use the CO2? And just
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so I think depending upon where you're driving and how far you're driving, again, if you're driving on the freeway, you probably don't want to inflate it beforehand.
Mine
they do
came
inflate super fast.
with a pretty cheesy but an effective electric pump. So that's one of the reasons I guess I feel inclined to do it at home. Obviously, you want to use the electricity, which I don't have a lot in my car, of the AC type of electricity. I think it's due to solar flares.
There you go.
Must
Yeah,
be.
but you should have AC. I mean, there should just be an outlet on the side of your car. You can just plug right in.
My car's a
Grounded.
55.
All the more reason it would be on AC and not DC.
Oh. Yeah. It was one of the first cars to get rubber wheels instead of the wooden wheels.
Oh, okay. So an upgrade from the stone ones. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. I got a full floorboard, unlike the earlier Fred Flintstone models.
Just this mental image of the bad cop and his wife and going from those Bronto burgers and the big side of ribs on the side of the car.
That's right.
Man, I have trouble getting that thing up to 60 miles an hour to overtake someone, but I can do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't understand the Fred Flintstone mobile. Once he got it up to speed, he didn't have to use his feet anymore.
Was he always on a level surface or going downhill?
It seemed to be always level.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Maybe he had super frictionless wheels.
Oh, yeah, because that's
Actually,
one
no,
thing
that wouldn't
won't
work
happen
either. They
soon.
wouldn't go anywhere if you had frictionless wheels.
Frictionless.
Never mind. That was a really stupid idea. I'm calling out everything stupid tonight,
Okay.
including my own stupidity.
Well, at least you're even. You're fair
There you
about
go.
that.
Yeah, I'll probably be banned from the
See
block
what
party
I'm
now.
talking about? All I'm asking for is total perfection.
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, I'll probably be banned from the block party this year, but you know, otherwise.
Well,
You're certainly not going to win a trip there.
They can send it to my P.O. box.
There you go.
you'd be banned from the block party next year.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I already got that
from now on.
notice. I'm not invited in 2016.
Yeah, me too. It was something
They-
I said. I just don't know what it was.
They're putting on this big, front of, oh yeah, we're just not going to have a party in 2016. Nobody tell that monkey.
Oh, you
Actually,
already
maybe
heard
they're
about
going to
that?
have one and just not invite non-Americans.
Ooh. Maybe they'll have a Canadian block party.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just have, you know what?
You're not bitter.
We'll have one. We'll have one without them, and we're going to call it the Metro Vancouver Geocaching Summer Games.
Ooh, I should come out for that.
And we're inviting podcast hosts because we love them.
Aww.
Aww. Don't we get to light something? Don't we get to play with fire?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yay.
Fire. No question. Just not when you're staying at my house.
Wait, I have to practice.
Yeah.
We can provide methane.
Methane. Mm.
They may pronounce it methane.
Methane,
All right.
methane, methane.
Are we running out of
Yeah.
running out of
Canadian
methane for
jokes.
this show? Running out of Canadian jokes.
Inequality is fine, Wet Coaster says, as long as it's in my favor.
Yeah.
And Dora Moore says, we welcome Americans.
We do. We welcome all of Americans.
I want to say
particularly if you
Dora
bring
Moore
your
has something to do with those summer games, but I could be wrong.
I got a very nice email from Dora Moore inviting me to the summer games. So
Yes.
Excellent. And
I'm still working out my schedule. I have a ton of obligations this summer with college graduations and high school graduations and birthdays, and we have a really busy summer. But I'm doing all I can to work the Metro Vancouver event into my summer schedule plans.
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
I'm
we
planning
really
on
appreciate
being
that.
there. Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
That's right.
Well, there's been a lot of creek rising the last couple of weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Steve says, just leave your guns at home.
Yeah.
Because
Hey, no
every
problem.
American owns a gun, obviously.
Yeah, that's Team Kiwi. I was
Oh, is
just
that Team
working.
Kiwi?
That's Team Kiwi. He's a previous guest on our show. I was just working with him on Tuesday night. We're developing a new super secret geocache.
Ooh, fun.
Well, it can be super, but you've lost the secret part.
That's right.
Well, what it is still a secret.
Oh, okay. It's a
I'm
geocache.
building the suspense.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, you're building it.
Yes.
See, you're slipping. Okay, folks. That's enough banter. Good night.
Night.
Thanks for watching, guys.